All right, Shalom. First off, we want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto
Unto
Yahweh,
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash.
Yeah. This is GMS Fort Nebraska. The brother Yatazagba here with.
Karatazah.
Want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS. Sincere salutations unto the fellow Akim out there pushing this truth. Those listening and learning, the women and children that follow. Today we just want to get into a lesson talking about the dietary law. For new brothers, for those who may not know these different things within this chapter. We're just gonna go through and explain all the different things that are given to us in the law about what's clean and what's unclean to eat. So we're just gonna go through and just let it roll.
Khan. This is Leviticus 11 and verse 1. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying unto them, Speak to the children of Israel, saying, These are the beasts which ye shall eat among the beasts that are on the earth."
Right. So this is talking about the land animals. It's going to give the criteria on what land animals that's okay to eat.
Right. So let's give some context.
Okay.
Why would he have to tell them what's good to eat and what's not good to eat? What were they eating before this? They were eating manna from heaven. So the Lord was feeding them. What they call it, angel's bread. So because they were eating that manna from heaven, they didn't have to eat the food from the land, the apples, the oranges, or the animals, But now that they're coming into their own, you gotta live off the land. All right. So verse 3 says, "Whatsoever parteth the hoof and is cloven footed and cheweth the cud among the beasts, that shall ye eat."
Right. So it says, "Whatsoever parted the hoof and is cloven footed and cheweth the cud." So this is important because whatever of these land animals we're eating has to have all three of these things for it to be clean. You can't have one and not the other. You can't have another one and not the other one. You got to have all three. So first, let's talk about that parting the hoof and being cloven footed. So we got some images.
Which one do you want?
That one right there. No, the next one. Sorry. Yeah. So as you can see, we have these different animals. The whole first. So it has to, first of all, it has to part the hoof, which means it has to be a hooved animal.
Yeah.
Which elk, deer, roe, cow, these have hooves.
We got the other one too.
Yeah. As you can see in the second row, we have a sheep. Now the thing is, horses have hooves as well, but that's when you have to get into the specifics of the scripture. It says as to part the hoof and be cloven footed. Now, let's use sheep and horse since they're right next to each other. Yep. The sheep are cloven footed. As you can see, they part the hoof, which they're separated. They have that space down the middle. Can we go to the other picture real fast? And where are the sheep here? I guess you don't have them? Okay.
Yeah, sheep right here.
There we go. So you see how the sheep they separate and they have a space down the middle.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, we can use boar. We're not supposed to eat boar because they don't chew the cud, but they are cloven footed, and that's a great example to show what a cloven footed animal would look like.
Yep.
So let's go back to the other picture. So horses, they aren't cloven footed. They have that horseshoe. Their hooves are one structure for lack of better words. They don't separate. As a matter of fact, can we look up a picture real fast of just like a cow's foot, like a actual. Yeah, there we go. That's perfect.
Like this?
Yeah. So as you can see, that's a hooved animal, but it is split down the middle. That's that parting the hoof. And if you were to see a cow's foot from the bottom, you'll see how they're like separate. It's like it's cloven footed, just like you can imagine a 4-leaf clover. You know, it separates. Let's see. Yep, just like that. You see how it has the two big parts of the hoof, and then it has the two small parts at the top. That's a cloven footed animal.
Which
So
one, like that up
yep,
there,
yep,
and then this one here.
yep. So that's a cloven footed animal. So cows will fall under that. Sheep, goats, lambs, bison. Now, let's talk about the other criteria that makes an animal clean to eat because, like we mentioned earlier, boars part the hoof and they're cloven footed. But why is a boar or a pig not able to be eaten? Well, what does the scripture say? They have to chew the cud. So let's get into that process of chewing the cud, what that means.
So there's some animals that do chew the cud.
It says cattle, deer, sheep, goats, and antelope are some examples of animals that chew their cud. When cud chewing animals eat their food, some of the food is stored in a special pouch within its stomach. It later regurgitates the stored food or cud and begins to chew it again. Now let's get a little bit deeper into that. What that process is, and that process is called ruminating. Animals that chew the cud are called ruminant animals. So it says ruminants are herbivores grazing or browsing artiodactyls. I believe I'm saying that right. Belonging to the suborder Ruminaceae that are able to acquire nutrients from plant-based food by fermenting it in a specialized stomach prior to digestion, principally through microbial actions. So can we go to that picture? The next tab over.
Oh, this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you see how this is what antelope, and it eats the food, it swallows it, it goes through the esophagus, and then that pouch right there, it goes in there and it's going through a process. And before they fully digest that food, they spit it back up, and that's why that picture says the food is chewed twice. So let's go back to the wiki. So it says the process which takes here. So I can highlight it to see where we left off.
Okay.
It says the process which takes place in the front part of the digestive system and therefore is called foregut fermentation typically requires the fermented ingestion known as cud to be regurgitated and chewed again. The process of rechewing the cud to further break down plant matter and stimulate digestion is called rumination. The word ruminant comes from Latin ruminare, which means to chew over again. Right. So these are herbivorous animals. They chew down that grass. It goes through their system. And then they spit it back up, chew it down again. And then once it goes down that second time, that's when they fully digest it, and it helps them to fully take in all the nutrients. It's like a filtration system,
Okay.
you know. And so while sheep, deer, goats, they do this, but like we mentioned earlier, boars and pigs, they don't do that process. Pigs, boars, them type of animals, whatever they eat, it goes straight through their system, and that's something that makes them unclean. For example, pigs will, yeah, hey, like the hey, that's through the spirit. Let's it's sort of like a human, to where we eat, it goes into our stomach, it goes into our intestines, and then we dispose of it.
Yep.
And it's also their diet, because only herbivorous animals do the process of chewing the cud. Cud is that substance of that grass when it's regurgitated. But pigs ain't no herbivores; they eat whatever.
Yeah.
And there was a phrase that you mentioned, something about like you can't poison a pig, or something like that. Like pigs can eat toxins and be fine. That people would literally, like, if somebody was to delete somebody and they needed to hide or dispose of the body, they feed them to pigs, and the pigs would devour that entire body. You know, the pigs. Yeah.
That's not what I meant.
The marginal ear veins are the only veins that are easily visible on pigs of any size. Usually there are three prominent veins: the lateral or central vein.
Just because, like you mentioned about poisoning a pig, normally if you poison someone, their blood will travel, or the poison will travel through their blood,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how they die. It gets
Yeah.
all their organs in their brain.
Kind,
But yeah, we can move on from this. You know what I'm saying?
kind. Well, with pigs, like they're unclean animals in general.
Yeah.
They roll around in mud. They don't sweat. There's no way for them. Just like with the ruminating animals, like we mentioned, that's a filtration system with that digestion system they have. They're getting the good things out of the food that they're eating. All the other things are basically discarded. But with pigs, all that is just ingested. They don't filtrate anything. It's
They
just
are
in
the
there.
filter for the earth.
Exactly. That's why these unclean animals were created. The Lord created animals like pigs and all these other different unclean animals for their purpose of being a filtration system for the earth. There's animals that were created to be eaten. There's animals that were created for other purposes, but we're not supposed to eat them.
Right.
So if the land animal chews the cud, if they have hooves, if they split the hooves, and if they're cloven footed, like the elk, like the deer, like the cow, like the sheep, then we can eat them. You know, so we can. One more thing that just came to mind.
A gazelle is not.
Yeah, that's why this diagram, we can grab a gazelle foot real fast.
Because you would think like a gazelle is like an African deer. You know what I'm saying? So I can eat that. Nope. Apparently you can't.
Let's see.
You said the foot?
Yeah, gazelle foot. Which it looks like it splits. Yeah, it looks split and cloven footed. That diagram probably just got it wrong. Because even this one right there, see that hoof is split, and then you can see those smaller ones in the back. That's that cloven footed. So gazelles is on point.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a cloven foot.
Yep. Gazelles is on point. So yeah, that's a clean animal.
There we go.
And that's what the law was for. It was to give to where when you see these animals, like we didn't have Google in ancient times. We wasn't able to just look up, is this animal clean, is this animal unclean? This was criteria for us when we're out in the wild, when we're out looking for animals, we have these visuals and we're like, okay, this is a clean animal, I'm a kill it and eat it, So yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But one more thing that came to mind about that's why like when you see a cow and it's just like chewing, that's that process it's doing. It's chewing the cud. That's why cows are just be chewing all day. Yeah. So we can move on to the go back to the scripture.
Yep.
And you kind
verse 4.
Yeah.
This is Leviticus 11:4. It says, "Nevertheless, these shall ye not eat of them that chew the cud, or them that divide the hoof, as the camel, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean to you."
Exactly. The camel chews the cud, but it doesn't divide the hoof, therefore is unclean. Like the next verse, what does it say?
"And the coney, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean to you.
Mm-hmm.
And the hare, because he cheweth the cud, but divideth not the hoof, he is unclean to you."
Right, that's something to mention because you have animals like hares or rabbits, bunnies. They chew the cud, but they don't even have hooves. Any animal that has a paw, you're not supposed to be eating it. Period.
Yeah.
No pawed animals are clean to eat. We'll move
on. And the swine, though he divideth the hoof, and be cloven footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you.
Right.
Of their flesh ye shall not eat, and their carcass shall ye not touch, they are unclean to you.
Right. And this diet that the Lord has given us, this diet breeds life. That's why amongst our people, they eat pork, and you see a lot of our people will be getting cancer and be getting different diseases because the swine is a very unclean animal. It's a very disease-ridden animal, and that's why our people have terrible health.
Yeah.
Because they're eating things like this. But we can move on.
All right. And these shall ye eat of all that are in the waters, whatsoever have fins and scales in the waters, in the seas and in the rivers, them shall ye eat.
Right. So going into the aquatic animals, it says it has to have fins and scales. Then it's clean. Now it's the same thing. You can't have one without the other. Right. So this right here, I believe it's a salmon. Mm-hmm. Salakia, if I'm, brothers correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But as you can see, it has the fins. It has the pectoral fins, the dorsal fin, but it also has the scales. So if you were to catch a fish, you got to examine it. Okay, does it have the fins? Is it a scaly fish? Then it's clean to eat. But then you have an animal like a catfish. It has the fins. You see, you got the fin at the top. You got the fin on the side, but it's a smooth fish. Yeah. It has no scales, which means that it's unclean to eat. And then so first of all, the aquatic animal has to be a fish because it has to have fins and scales. And then if it has one and not the other, it's unclean. But you can count out all the other aquatic animals: crabs, crawfish, lobsters, octopus, all these other sharks. Sharks. All these other animals are unclean to eat. And it's for the same thing that we explained earlier. These different animals are put on the earth to serve other purposes than to serve the purpose of food. These animals are the cleanup crew. They're bottom feeders. That's the phrase I've been trying to think about. They're bottom feeders.
Clams and mollusks.
Yep. Just like the picture that I like to talk about, where you had a fish tank that had water in it, and it had the same type of water. And in one tank you had clams, and in the other tank you didn't. And in the tank with no clams, the water was all dirty. It was all murky and muddy looking. But then there you go right there to the left. So you see on the left, that water has no clams. It's all dirty and nasty looking. But the one on the right has the same water with the clams in it, and it looks clear. And that's what the Lord literally, like, clams are like a filtration system for water. That is beautiful because animals serve certain purposes. But then you'll have people that like heathen that would take these animals as delicacies in their culture. Then our people take after it and start eating it.
Okay.
When these animals are created for a whole different purpose.
Eating caviar and shit like that.
Right, yeah. All that stuff is off. When these clams are here to make clean water for the animals that we are supposed to be eating. So
and clean water for the animals that we aren't, because they gotta live too. They have to serve their purpose.
Exactly. One more example, like when you have a fish tank and you have those like black fishes that
sucker fish.
Yeah, the sucker fishes that be on the glass. Let's look that up. As you can see, they have fins, but there's no scales. And what are those fishes always doing? They're always on that side of the glass, cleaning that glass off. So these animals were created by the Lord to clean up the earth, to be bottom feeders. They keep the ecosystem going.
Yeah.
But they're not supposed to be eaten. And this is a big reason why the water today is so dirty and so nasty. Not only because so much trash is being thrown into the ocean, but because you're taking out all the animals and in mass and in bulk, and putting them in restaurants, putting them in grocery stores, and that way, they're not in the ocean where they're supposed to be. How many lobsters and crabs are fish? True crabs make up 20% of all crustaceans caught and farmed worldwide, with about 1.4 million tons being consumed annually.
Jeez.
Imagine how much cleaner the ocean would be with these animals that's supposed to be, that's what they're there for, if they would actually be in the ocean. 1.4 million tons being consumed annually, 100 million pounds in Maine. 100 million pounds of lobster caught in Maine. So this is why the earth is all out of whack.
This is why this man got to go.
You know, yeah, because it is Esau. At the end of the day, he has control over what's fished, over what companies, what businesses are lucrative. He could stop this if he wanted to. He's letting that go on.
But I mean, you do have like Moabites and Ammonites. That's just they're going to eat whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah. We can't absolve them.
Right.
If they want, Hong Hong Kong Fooey burger, they're gonna find your dog and make it. You know what I'm saying? But
this is why the law was given unto us, because those heathen, they naturally eat like that. We're supposed to be set apart by the law that the Lord gave us, and not taking part in those things where our people follow after the heathen.
Yeah.
But we can move on in that scripture.
All right. Excuse me. The Leviticus 11 and 10, it says, and all that have not fins and scales in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. They shall even be an abomination unto you. Ye shall not eat their flesh, but ye shall have their carcasses in abomination.
Can we look up abomination real fast?
Yeah.
Abomination is Strong's H8262, which is shakwataza. It says to detest, make abominable, count filthy, make detestable. So you're supposed to you're supposed to not even want to be around these animals. You're supposed to not even want to touch these animals. You just keep that away from you.
Polluted.
Abhor.
Make abominable.
Have an abomination.
To loathe.
If you loathe something, you detest something, like, I can't stand that, bro. Like, I don't even want to see it. I don't want it to be around me.
Okay.
And it's just become normalized to people to where they eating crab. Crabs look like water roaches. I don't understand how people can sit there and break apart a crab and eat it. It looks disgusting to me.
Yeah. But Esau makes people think that they upscale for eating little crawfish balls and all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They think they somebody because they paid, $100 for a bunch of water roaches.
And that goes in the scripture, things have been turned upside down.
Yep.
Because the most filthy and abominable foods is regarded as you doing good if you eating that.
Mm-hmm.
But we can go to verse 13.
Verse 13, it says, and these are they which have an abomination among the fowls. They should not be eaten. They are an abomination.
Right. So with these, we're going into the flying animals now, the birds, and they don't give criteria like with the land animals. What they have to, with the cloven footed, if they part the hooves, if they chew the cud. Here it just names what birds we're not supposed to be eating. So let's get into it.
And you can pretty much figure it out by the name or by the kind of animals that they're naming.
Mm-hmm.
I said they should not be eaten. They are an abomination. The eagle, the ossifrage, and the osprey, and the vulture, and the kite after his kind.
Mm-hmm.
Every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, and the little owl, and the cormorant, and the great owl, and the swan, and the pelican, and the gear eagle, and the stork, the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat.
Yep. Now, what do all these animals, what do all these birds that we just named have in common? One type they're all birds of prey. And then you get into the swan, the pelican, the stork. Those are water birds.
Yep.
So let's talk
about the ravens.
Yep, and the ravens.
Just like the small regular birds.
Yeah, which we gonna get into all of that. First, let's get into the first picture we got talking about the birds of prey.
Where we at?
There we go. Birds of prey. So like I said, hawks. You got all the different hawks on here.
Yeah. Hawks, falcons.
Yep, falcons. Owls,
vultures, and eagles.
the Mississippi kite over here.
Yep, the kites and your owls.
The osprey right here.
Yep, the osprey, your vultures.
So all these different birds of prey, which are birds that prey on smaller animals and things like that, these are predatory birds. These are not clean for us to eat. We there we go. The water birds. Yeah, so we got the crane.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Egrets.
Yep.
Your mallards.
You know, your ducks, the goose,
herons.
the geese. Now, you may have someone.
Pelicans.
Yep. You may have someone that's reading that scripture, and it talks about swans. It talks about these different water birds, but it doesn't say ducks. And you may have somebody like, well, does that mean ducks are lawful to eat? But no, because when we look at a swan, we got a picture up, I believe. No. Can we just look up a picture of a swan real fast? A swan is just a big duck. They both have bills. If we look up swan feet, is webbed feet. You have swans which are who have the bills, have the webbed feet. Ducks are just like swans, just smaller. So if it's saying we're not supposed to eat swans, why would we be able to eat ducks? You see? So that's why you can. It doesn't name, just like you made a good point before we made this lesson. It talks about the ravens, but when you get into ravens, these all count as ravens. Blue jays, fish crows, gray jay, the nutcracker. All these count as ravens. So it's not like in the scripture they was going to name every sub version of all these different birds and name the type of birds we're not supposed to eat, and there you're supposed to use common sense.
Yeah, because like it doesn't name like the robins and the songbirds
and the cardinals and all that.
But through the spirit, you know what I'm saying? If you're not going to eat a blue jay,
why would you eat a cardinal? So
it was said blue jay, it said you can eat the red one.
Yeah, exactly. So for the flying animals that are on point to eat, chickens are fine, turkeys are fine, those type of flying animals.
Don't go around eating parrots and parakeets.
Yeah, nah, that's off limits.
Getting the famine in your bird in the cage, you know what I'm saying? You get hungry.
Yeah, that's off limits to eat, So is there anything else we need to touch on with
the birds? I think that was it.
Okay, we can go on to the next.
Yeah. It says all the fowls that creep. It's like Leviticus 11:20 says all the fowls that creep, going up on all fours, shall be an abomination to you.
Right. So this is going into the bugs. Now, yes, there are certain bugs that are okay to be eaten, and we're going to get into it. But it says the fowls that creep going upon all four, you're not supposed to eat them. So this is like ants. Let's read on, then we'll make the distinction.
Yeah, these may ye eat of every flying, creeping thing that go upon all four, which have legs above their feet to leap withal upon the earth.
So it says it has to be a flying, creeping thing. The legs have to be above their feet. Leaping bugs. And what does it say right after?
Even these of them you may eat, the locust after his kind, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind.
So locusts, grasshoppers, and when we go into that beetle, it's not talking about actual beetles. Let's get the definition of that word beetle.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into how we know for sure that's not talking about beetles. So Strong's H2728, which is a charagal, it says a kind of locust. So
a leaping creature.
A leaping creature. So how do we know beetles are off limits? Well, let's go to those images.
A leaping insect, i.e. a locust.
Yep.
So
right. So these are all types of beetles. And as we can see, these bugs, their legs don't go above their feet. Um, most of them don't have wings. You know, they don't leap.
Yeah.
These are those animals that it was talking about, those fowls that creep upon the earth. They bellies is upon the earth. These are off limits to eat. You can't eat these bugs. But if we go, what's that picture directly to the left? Oh no. Let's
Yeah,
grab
we can get one.
yeah, like a locust or a cricket. Yep, there we go.
Yeah, you see, you got the legs to leap with. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, with the wings. And me personally, I'm not out here trying to eat a locust, but in Jacob's trouble, in times of famine, it's good to keep in mind that these are things that you can eat. You know, cook them. You know what I'm saying? Just like
yeah, you don't want to raw dog these bad boys.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you definitely want to cook them. Just like John the Baptist. The scriptures say that John the Baptist was eating locusts
with honey.
With honey. Yep.
So hey, get you some honey. Apparently, that's how.
that's how it slept. You know?
Right.
But as you can see, those legs go above the feet. You know, it has the wings. They're leaping bugs. These are okay to eat. Grasshoppers, locusts, crickets. Those are okay. But all the different types of bugs, just like a roach, for example, a roach has wings, but they don't leap. They don't have those legs made for that. They just creep upon the earth.
Yeah.
You know. And it's the same thing with those type of animals that apply to the different fish, the different land animals that are unclean. They're the cleanup crew of the earth. Exactly. Roaches, where you always see roaches in dirty environments, where you always see all these other nasty animals like flies, for example.
Yep.
Flies are
by the trash.
By things decomposing. They put the maggots there so they can eat up all that bacteria and stuff. Yep. That's what those animals are put on the earth to do. You know.
Yeah. Did I read 22?
I think. Yep. We read 22.
Verse 23. It says, "But all the other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you."
Right. So yeah, we can leave it there because then it's gonna go into like touching the carcass of the animals and things like that. We don't gotta get into all that. Just going into what's okay to eat, what's not okay to eat. You know. Like I said, in ancient times, we didn't have Google. We wasn't able to just look up all these things, but the law was given unto us. And there may be a time where we're out, and we have to keep these things in mind to know what's okay to eat, what's not okay, and this is that criteria. This is the law, and the law is perfect, and we want to hold true to this. We're in, like we always say here at GMS, we keep the law to the best of our ability, and for what we eat and don't eat, we have a good grip on, not eating these things that we're not supposed to be eating.
Okay.
Now, Esau, being the demon he is, he puts swine into different things and calls it other ingredients. Red 40. All these different gelatin things like that. Yep. May have a swine in it, but we have control over a lot of things. We're not gonna go to the store and get pork, and that you want to that's the first and foremost thing you want to do. Just what's okay, what's not okay, and just keep it there, and keep these things to the best of your ability.
And the Lord give us healthy alternatives. We don't have to eat bacon. We can get beef bacon.
You can get turkey bacon. So. Yep. But if there's anything else,
no, that's about it.
Con. So with that being said, we're gonna give all praise, honor, and glory
unto Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Crocodile.
And with that being said, I want to say shalom.
Hey, shalom.